Good morning. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Cheryl Petrick, and this is Michelle Worley. We're from Canada and the United States. And today we are going to start our first advocacy session 2, on how to be an effective advocate. We're going to start off with two of our steering committee members from the MPN Advocates Network, Felice Bombaci and Mirjana Babamova. And they're going to discuss with you. There was a survey sent out to each of you, and Felice will go over the topic of the survey and the findings. And he and Mirjana will facilitate this part of the session.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for who reply to our survey. The survey is not just to talk about the results now, but just to facilitate our discussion about what we want to go, what the need for our community. Then, like the Felice in the Maravai Valley said to Chester Cat, how will you go? Define your work, your aims, define your objective. So, we ran a survey during last months. Only 17 people replied this. The survey is open. If you want to add some information, please join the survey. And this is the country where the people live, the people reply. And 24% of them is, 41% is chairman or chairwoman, and the other one is member of board, executive manager, local coordinator, and national coordinator, founder. This is our role. What are the main fields of interest of your organization? The organization is interested, especially 12 organizations in support patient with MPN disease. And the other one is is a multiple response. Then the number is not 100, no? Because 3 reply is possible for each one. Normally, we have a national level. Our organization is a national level, and wide regional or international only for 5% of them. We are member of other umbrella organizations like MPN, and we talk about MPN, Lymphoma Coalition, CLIN, Eurodis, ECPC, etc., etc. But 52% is a member of other MPN umbrella, other umbrella organization, not only MPN. How your organization come into contact with the MPN Advocates Network? The majority said report received from another association. Then it's important if you know other people in the other country, when you organize meeting for other blood disease, to talk with other about our organization, to run to a patient group in their country is important to enlarge our community. The number of associated, our organization is for 23% organization with the 50 maximum member, and 41 is more than 150. If you look here, it's 1,012, 1,000. Many organizations, 41% of organizations is more than 150 members. This is a large number of patients we represent. How many associated are MPN young patients? Because another big issue is younger. Is not because of normally we say the MPN disease is for early people. No, many people are young, but we are not able to understand how many people we have in our organization under 13. This is another point, because the issue is different. This one is asked if our organization is involved in the access process, if is involved with the HTA process. And 46% of people are no rule in the drug approval, only advisory in the other of 46%. Just 6% of one organization, because 70 people reply this one, is one organization have a rule in HTA process. I put on the table this issue, but after we discussed together what is our priorities. And if our organization is important to address problem for access therapy. If we have problem in our country, and the major problem is 58%, 10 organizations have a problem with the access in the country with the drug, with a very big issue, is the access. Another, if we as organization participate in access specific therapy in our national or local level. And is 30% distributed, yes, no, and the other who specify, then yes, probably in the survey, these two questions was one excluded the other. Was a wrong system in the but yes, and this one is the same. Then 60% are access to innovative therapy. Some of our MPN patients give an interview to the last about availability of interferon, trial, Pegasus coverage. This is the problem for the access therapy in national level, or where our organization is involved. What has been the biggest change in MPN management in last 5 years? And more people said the development of analysis method MPN mutation or the development of new therapy. This is the big change in the MPN we evaluate in the last 5 years. A minority said the identification of a mutation, no one don't know. If you view the development of a new therapy, which problem should address? Reduce symptom is the big problem, what we ask. Eradication of cancer stem cell is just second. What are the areas your organization would need training and operational tool? Then we ask to you which your big necessity need to about educational program, about training, and the majority is a fundraising campaign, the big problem. The other one is design a project for national or international project management, this one. and the other is the same percent. Ability to manage a project for my association. Useful tool to improve the management of interpersonal relationship is another one. Lobbying strategy. And the other one is a people-raising campaign. Create more awareness and collect more people in our organization. In your country, does your healthcare system provide sufficient care? Only 50% of people in all major cities. Okay, said is available in all major cities. 25% only university and hematology center, and only in some city town. No one people. Then a big problem is sufficient care available for all patients. At this point, does your care system guarantee fair access to innovative drug? 41% yes, but the other one is no. Then we have the other big problem to address. The healthcare system don't guarantee fair access to innovative drug. In your country, are oncohematology pathology handled by interdisciplinary team? Only 58% in the universital center. The other one is yes in the whole hospital, but it's just 3 people, and no 2 people. I don't know other 2 people. In your country, during diagnostic treatment path, the MPN patient, where do you think there is a greatest inefficiency? The big inefficiency is initial diagnosis. This is the big problem. The people go to have a first diagnosis later, or a very complicated path to obtain this. Other is dealing with the psychological problem, issue. Another one is to take part in a clinical trial. And the other is coping with the ongoing side effect. This is the big issue for us. How we address this after we debate about this, for example. What are the, open discussion now. What do you think about this, for example? In your country, someone would like to explain something or to add some comment? Is true, is not true in your country? Just to not have a presentation, a frontal presentation, but to engage in the discussion. Please. No, you have.
Yeah, so, going off my personal experience, as well as patients that I've spoken to over the last 6 years, there's definitely a gap when a patient is initially diagnosed. I find that many times they leave the doctor's office visit, and not only do they have all the normal emotional stuff like being nervous and not understanding the disease, but they're really leaving in this state of confusion, like, where do I go, what do I do? And it would be nice, I think, if there was some sort of path where perhaps an advocacy group or person could step in and help walk that patient through the necessary steps, as opposed to relying just on the doctor visit.
Thank you. And other? No, we talk after. What are the most useful tools your organization uses to communicate with the public? The other question is, we communicate with the public, with the citizen, with the people not involved with the disease? This is the question. And yes, by Facebook, the majority, 7 people, 41% press release, and the other one, Twitter, Instagram, or Maxi Foundation website, main list, our website. We communicate, but we communicate right, not right. We are able to communicate in right modality. This is a question to talk together. In our country, is available the conventional biology services in the oncology hematology? 47% only in university hematology center, in the big center, not in all. The 30% in the hospital on the main city. Only 5%, 6% in all the hospital. This is a minority. Just one country declare this one. In the other country, is not available in all city. Do you know which of cytogenetic? Yes, this is a question about if in our country is available not only the drug, but the testing, system testing, monitoring, for monitoring disease, and to discover the disease. The Google, Dr. Google. And in our country, is available JEC2 test. And BCR-ABL in 75, carleticillin 68, MPL 62 also TP53, and the other in your country, patients treated for MPN are followed in hematology center in 70%, and just in 2 countries in hematology center specialized in MPN, and the other in hematology oncology center in regular of university hospital, mostly by an hematologist, hematology center, and HMO. This is our reply. The nurse, the big issue. Have a well-defined rule in care pathway of patient with MPN. Only in universal hematology center, 35%. Yes, in all hospital, only 12% about, and no, 41%. Then the nurse is not involved in the majority of our association in our country. In our country, there are specific guidelines for the MPN pathology. Only 52%, yes, national guideline, and 23% no use of guideline. And this is a big issue, because the patient have not the same opportunity, because the guideline is very important to address in right modality the disease, for example. What we do for this? What we can do to solve this problem, for example? This is another question for you. On which of the following topic the association has a great interest in acquiring knowledge? The majority said would like to understand something more about clinical study research. Other one is a database register and patient cohort. 41% developing and analysis of a guideline for specific pathology. Orphan drug regulator process design approval and marketing 35%. Administrative procedure for accessibility and reimbursement of orphan drug only 23%. And 11% way to reporting adverse drug reaction, innovative drug, and biotechnology. How our community altogether give response to these needs? This is another point for us, for example. Now we talk together, and with Mimi, we receive from you information about this topic, the topic we illustrate before.
Would you mind just putting up the last slide?
Yes. I come back.
That would be great.
I go to sit. Now the talk is in your hand.
I actually have a question for the audience because I was struck by something in the slides, Felice. One of the slides talked about one of the things that the advocates wanted, which was more help with fundraising. The two top responses were about helping them with fundraising in some capacity. And so I wanted to, yeah. So to the advocates out there in the room out there, if you were awake enough to raise your hands or not, can you raise your hands to let us know how many people in the room would actually want help with fundraising capacity building? So of the people with your hands up, keep them up, please. Which of you can tell us if you mean fundraising from like individuals or fundraising from biopharma? Or both? If you could please elaborate, that'd be great to know. Well, so two of the top responses were related to things that the MPN Advocates Network could do to help the advocate members. And to me, it related to fundraising. And so I was curious from the advocate groups what specifically you meant by that. So if we were gonna create guidelines or best practices, is it around individual best practices or is it around biopharma? Can you, Poisson, did you have your hand up before? Yeah. And Werner?
No, individual.
So individual is what your interest is. Got it.
Yes, we use
Okay, once more. We would need individual fundraising. For in Germany, we can't take money from pharma.
Got it. Param, did you have your hand up too?
Mainly pharma companies to begin with. For example, in my country, in Italy, we collect money for the citizen in the square, in Easter period, in Christmas period, also by single individual people who leave for us money or apartment or some other thing. The minority is pharma contribute, very, very small contribute. We collect in all Italy 41 million euro each year, not for MPN, but for whole blood disease, for example. It's possible.
Also, I would like to have to suggest one question to all of you. Do you have some ideas about how MPN should, Advocates Network should help you in capacity building of your organizations? Do you have any ideas for organizing workshops that MPN Advocates Network, like work groups for special parts of the world, like Central Eastern Europe, like US, like Asia Pacific? Do you have suggestions about this?
Please, with the mic.
So, for me, I would say sharing best practices that have worked with other organizations around the world and perhaps sharing those ideas and thoughts, I think would be very helpful.
Thank you. Werner?
No, yeah. I like the survey very much, but I think there's one problem behind it. It's so different countries where we are coming from. And it would be interesting to know which country voted in which way. And there are some countries which are in better situation and they need different things than countries which have a bad situation. And we should differentiate it more, I guess.
No, I come back to the name of the country.
Okay, thank you. I was not in the room at the moment. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rainer. I got 3 mails with this survey. Yeah, the first 2 was with a broken link, so I didn't touch the third one. So I think it was a problem with the first 2 things, mails. I was not sure if it is a spam or whatever. So if you write a mail first to announce we will do a survey, I'm on a safer way, because there are so much spam emails and whatever around. I was just feeling unsure to type it a third time.
Sorry.
Yeah?
Thank you for your suggestion. Thank you.
You know, I think it would be great to that point. You know, it's hard sometimes to experience everything and immediately respond, but if anyone has other comments, if you've thought about this and want to reach out to the MPN Advocates Network, I think we'd be happy to hear more feedback, and just know if this is not what you think, please, what are the other gaps that we need to be filling in?
Yes.
Giora?
Oh, yeah, sorry. What I think, we need an internal platform to communicate. So this is for me, that was what I'm missing. So if any country has any idea to do something, he can put it, write it on that platform, and we can discuss it internally over the year. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Like a forum.
Like an online forum?
I think like a forum, but not Facebook or so.
Dedicate for us.
Private.
For us, for the members who joined at least one time this meeting.
To maintain
Yeah.
the relationship during one horizon and another horizon.
Yeah. I think this is very important. Yeah? So I go I visit David's PV reporter frequently and look for links he did, but I didn't can do that on all the other countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please raise the hand who is agree with our friend. Because if we one project was decided to build a forum, but it's important all of us who raise the hand use the forum and contribute in the forum to create a virtual community and to work together always in the year, not only for CML, MPN Horizon, but to work together. Okay? First one. Now we search other project. Giora.
I would like to go back to the HTA and what can be the role of MPN Advocate Network in supporting local patient organizations when they go to the HTA committees and asking for reimbursement of a specific drug. Today, the HTA committees, they are looking for what we call patient evidence data that was collected in real world from patients about what is the influence of the drug on the quality of life of the patients, on the ability to work, on the family relation. And some of the HTA committees in UK, NICE, and Scotland have specific forms which they are asking the patients to fill and to submit to the HTA. The problem in many of countries and also in Israel that we don't have patients on these drugs before they are approved. So it's very difficult to get this data from the patients in our country if no patients are using them. So I think that NPN Advocate Network, as an organization that represents many patients in many countries, can collect this data, because I think a PV patient taking a specific drug in one country is very similar to another PV patient getting the same drug in another country. So MPN can collect this patient evidence data about the influence of the drug on the quality of life of the patient and share it with all the organizations so we can use this data when we submit to our HTA. I've been doing it in Israel when I don't have enough data. I, for example, to the Leukemia Care organization in the UK who submits to NICE, and they share with me all the data that they collect from their patients in the UK. Also from Canada, I receive it from the CLL organization in Canada when they submit and they share it with me. And I think MPN can do a similar work for all the patient organization. This will help a lot patient organization in small countries where they don't have the data available for the patients.
Okay. The problem about training program, for example, or operational tool. We talk about fundraising, okay? Then what do you suggest to increase our knowledge about fundraising? You, for example, would like to have a session dedicated or a training session dedicated how we give fundraising, do fundraising, or sharing best practices like David said before. You are interested, right at the end, you are interested about fundraising training program? Only you, no problem. And the other topic, the general interest, for example, how we now, for example, in Europe, we start a new horizon, non-horizon our meeting, but horizon in research in Europe for 2027, no? We started the program to involve the association who would like to run some project with other stakeholder like researcher or pharma or other people.
Can you explain what type of projects this program is going to be involved with?
Okay, the project is now, next year, finish the Horizon 2020 and start another program with 20 billion euro the community, European community put on the table for researcher, for people, for association to work in Europe together to address problem like humanization of a cure or new modality to patient report outcome or something of them. There are different kind of topics.
Given that that's the first time I've heard of that, I think there's definitely a need to explain to patient organizations what that program is and how they might be able to contribute or exploit that fact.
Because we are possible to participate at this project not only but as a subject or with other people, with the other stakeholder. I send you the information and organize the information for all the community. For example, on this point, access to innovative drug. Only 41% have declared to have access to innovative drug. The other part of the community have no access. How our community work on this topic? For example, use the forum to sharing problem and to, for example, running a campaign or something. We have idea about this. This is a big problem because in Western Europe, in USA, this problem is not fixed. We have access to all drug. But in the other part of the world, just in the East Europe, we have the problem. in South America, in Africa. How this community would like to work on this problem? You have idea?
I think in some of the Eastern European countries, if somebody representative from the global organizations, they will actually, the local governments like the Minister of Health will listen to an outside party explaining things, and having that global representative, they will feel almost embarrassed not to have a meeting or discuss how it works in other areas. So that's what some Eastern European countries can benefit from, like the chairperson or somebody from that, from MPN-AN to come to be able to, explain how it works in other areas. And because they would be too embarrassed not to listen, it could actually sink in. We had an example, obviously not with MPN, but with lymphoma, and this problem for one of our patients, and the global organisation stepped in to help us.
Excellent point, Lydia. What specifically do you think a group like ours should bring to a meeting like that? Is it what level of evidence do you think would be appropriate or necessary in that kind of setting that you're talking about? I think it's a potentially very powerful role for MPN-AN. But to act on that, we would need to know a bit more about what specific help you would need in that particular type of meeting.
One, probably purely the presence there will just be a big boost. Just actually being there, showing up, it would be, and examples of another Eastern European country that's working fine. Yeah. Because they're all, these Eastern European countries that are on the lower end, even the ones that are EU and the ones that are non-EU, when the governments are shown how it's working, they're all aspiring to be EU standard, showing them the example of how it can be done, and just by simply showing up would just, be enough.
I'm thinking that to be really effective in that kind of situation, I think maybe a presentation or the kind of data that Felice is presenting here that explains what the kind of real situation is in maybe more developed countries would be the kind of tool that would work. Okay, I think that's a potentially very useful role for us.
I have a last question, if you have not comment. The question is, in this picture, if this was the picture of our community, we missed something. We lost some actor in this picture. We take this picture, no? This is the picture of our community, like tomorrow picture, to stay together, no? What we lost, what we miss in this landscape, in this picture? You have suggest something?
Felice, could you go back? I wasn't in the room, I'm sorry. You asked how many people are under 30 or about the age, and that would be interesting for us. And Yvonne yesterday told us they are trying to do a group for young patients. And that's my question to all people in the room here. Would it make sense to do it, or could we do it together? Maybe it's a problem of language, I guess, yeah? But I see it's different for young people to be diagnosed than people with my age. I was 58, yeah? And there is a special need, and I would like to support it. And we are thinking in Germany about it, how to do it. And could we do it at the MPN Advocates? Could we create a platform, or would it make sense?
There might already be a platform in existence for young patients with MPN. In 2018, there was actually a very specific conference for people who are younger with an MPN. It was in the United States, but I believe those presentations were recorded and the videos are free online. So if it made sense to share that after this meeting, I think we can make that available to all of the network members. Giora?
Talking about young patients, at least in my country, I find that they are too busy to come to our patients meeting. They have children, they have work, they usually don't participate. And we tried everything to get them active and involved with the community. And the only way that we find specific activities for young patients are two activities. One is Facebook Live, when we interview a doctor about specific aspects of young patients with a disease, and they have opportunity to listen and live and ask questions live and get answers. So we try to adapt the activity to the community, and I think that worked. And the second one was we created a WhatsApp group for the young patients. And that group doesn't let me sleep at night because they are talking 24 hours, and the messages between them is non-stop. So, but they are very active, and it's very helping each one of them. So,
Okay, Giora, but the question for all of you is, is important to run a specific program, a specific tool, a specific something for young patient? For you is important? If it's important, raise the hand. Okay, another project for our group is possible too, is the study something for young people. Okay? Okay.
Maybe you can speak with the Youth Cancer Europe, because they have a lot of, they could probably, Sharunas, yes, because they have that cross-border healthcare. So, I'm sure that they could have information even, for MPN as well.
Just about psychological aspect, other problem, yes, but specific for disease, probably is a need to create something for young people, like the people say, no?
So on that note, we are time up on this session, but thank you so much, Felice and Mirjana. That was wonderful. And again, we'll make these slides available to you all so you can give response afterwards after you've had time to think about them.